Well, what's up, everyone? Anthony Cosenza with Cincy Jungle and the Orange and Black Insider Bengals podcast coming at you here. One of my mentors in the blogging, podcasting arena, Josh Kirkendall, who used to be the head man over at Cincy Jungle, he used to do a couple of these types of podcasts early in the early days of Cincy Jungle, and sometimes after games like this, he would just intro the show with a long and deep sigh. And that's kind of how I feel after what I witnessed today. And I'll say this: a few years ago, I can't remember what post it was, but I wrote something on Cincy Jungle and it talked about momentum in games and all that kind of thing. And I kind of engaged in this back and forth with a commenter on that specific post. And the commenter seemed to believe that momentum in a football game or in sports in general wasn't really a thing. It's more X's and O's. And since it wasn't something that was necessarily a metric to be gauged, that particular person did not believe in momentum. And while I definitely, even in this day and age, we can respect everybody's opinions on things, ladies and gentlemen. I respected that opinion, but I did not agree with it. And I think today, believe it or not, was a case in point in terms of momentum in a football game. The Cincinnati Bengals came out. They had a really good opening drive. Granted, they started the opening drive with 2 run plays that netted a very small handful of yards, but they ended up extending the drive. A couple nice screen plays to Joe Mixon. They got deep into the red zone. They got a break on 3rd down on a false start, moved even closer, and got another shot at the end zone. And you almost wish that offsides penalty, that second chance never, ever took place, because that after that pick 6 to Denzel Ward, this team was never the same. They were able to move the ball still, and Joe Mixon was doing things on the ground even throughout this game, despite whatever deficit the Bengals were facing, but they were never able to recover from that. And even Joe Burrow, the unflappable Joe Burrow, seemingly was not able to recover from that. And there are a lot of different takes, a lot of people to blame. How do you want to take this one? A lot of questions about the Cincinnati Bengals, their viability, and what they are as a team this year. And that game against the Baltimore Ravens seems like eons ago at this point, based on what happened the last 2 weeks. Absolutely unbelievable. If you were shocked last week, this one I think really shocked a bunch of us. We're going to get to a lot of different things, including some post-game quotes, thanks to a lot of great beat writers who cover the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to get to the box score, tail of the tape, etc. I'm seeing a lot of positive comments, and I got to tell you, and I apologize for being a little later than I usually go after a game, but I wanted to let some other post games go. I had some personal things to take care of, and then of course, I'm trying to rally some different information beforehand, so it went a little longer than expected. But I appreciate you all hanging out, especially on a time change. For some of you, it's later in the evening. Brandon Batchelor saying, "Hey, Anthony, good to see you." And I'm kicking off the show feeling kind of blue about all kinds of different things, not just about the Bengals. I picked the Bills in my survival pool. That got under my skin. At any rate, I'm seeing a lot of nice comments from a lot of you. Adam, at the beginning, Adam here, where's Anthony? We've got to talk about it. We need therapy from Andrew Seiler. Where's Anthony? That sort of thing. So the fact that you all are eager to talk with me, so to speak, and or hear me chatter about this awful 41-16 loss at the hands of the Browns, very flattering, and I appreciate you all. Again, I'm Anthony Cosenza with Cincy Jungle and the Orange and Black Insider. This is the Orange and Black Insider post-game show for the Week 9 drubbing the Bengals took by the Cleveland Browns at home. And the bye couldn't come at a better time, but we'll get into a lot of different stuff. As always, you can get this show on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, your favorite audio streamers. You can go subscribe to that. Get our show. Get Ace and Zim's Orange is the New Black, as well as Matt Minnick's Coach Speak and Chalk Talk episodes. And, of course, Orange and Black Insider is on YouTube. There's a little icon right down here somewhere, a little small one. You can click that to subscribe. Click the bell to be notified when we go live, when new content is available. We appreciate all the support, and we've got a lot of live listeners through a variety of different platforms right now, later in the evening after the Bengals took one on the chin. And I'm, like I said, I'm pretty flattered that despite the result today, you all want to hang out with me and you want to commiserate about what happened here. And commiserate is really what all we have at this point. And the Bengals have the bye week now. They come out of the bye week. Now they got to face Derek Carr in Las Vegas. The Raiders lost, but the Raiders are, a pretty decent team this year. They face Justin Herbert at home. They face Patrick Mahomes. They face Baker Mayfield again. They face Ben Roethlisberger again. They face Lamar Jackson again. They have a lot of upper tier quarterbacks, despite what you may think about the quarterback who was on the field not named Joe Burrow today. They face a lot of upper tier quarterbacks in this back stretch. Now, some of those teams aren't as strong as we thought. The AFC in general isn't as strong as we thought, including this division. The Ravens, they get beat up by the Bengals. The Browns get beat up by the Steelers. The Bengals beat up the Steelers. The Browns beat up the Bengals. This division is just wild. We're going to show you the playoff picture, at least somewhat updated as of this afternoon and evening, to let you know just how big of a free fall the Bengals have taken, not only in the division, but in the playoff picture. But they are still in the hunt, and as are a number of teams. There's basically a scrum between 5-win teams and 6-win teams right now. The Bills lost today to the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Wild past couple of weeks, and a lot of it centering around the Cincinnati Bengals after being media darlings from that beatdown of Baltimore just a couple of weeks ago that seems so long ago now. So long ago. Let's talk about the I'll share this with you all here. This is the ESPN box score. I like to share this one. Some of it is a little bit more comprehensive, and sometimes they don't have the big videos that NFL.com sometimes has on these post-game deals here. But you can see here Baker Mayfield. Nothing spectacular. Does have a high rating, but 14 of 21, was sacked a couple of times. Did have the 2 touchdown passes. The one really nice throw to Donovan Peoples-Jones, the deep ball, but he really was not asked to do much. And that is the tale of the tape of recent matchups between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield has some of his most successful days, some of his easiest days, not only because the Bengals defense has failed the team, but they cannot stop Nick Chubb. They cannot push back against this behemoth offensive line of Cleveland, and they make Baker Mayfield's job very, very easy. 14 of 21, 218, 2 touchdowns. There were 2 sacks, one by Sam Hubbard and one by Trey Hendrickson, the usual suspects in that statistical category. And then, of course, Nick Chubb. Holy moly. Almost 10 yards per carry, folks. 9.8 yards per carry. 14 carries, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a 70-yarder, wherein I believe it was Larry Ogunjobi missed the first tackle, and Eli Apple misses the second tackle. Beyond that, nothing to account for in terms of rushing. Donovan Peoples-Jones loves playing the Cincinnati Bengals. There is no doubt about it. Had the 60-yard touchdown, had 2 catches for 86 yards, was the hero last year in the rematch of the Battle of Ohio last year. Had the game, I think it was a couple big catches, and I think one of which was a touchdown to seal it late for the Browns last year. Had the big back-breaking touchdown here. Nick Chubb even getting in the mix, 2 catches, 26. But look at the receiving numbers here. And for those not watching the video graphics, 2 for 26 for Nick Chubb. Harrison Bryant, 2 for 26. Demetric Felton, 1 for 22. Njoku, 1 for 18. It was a touchdown. Schwartz, 1 for 15. I mean, there's nothing really there aside from the 60-yard play by Peoples-Jones that in the receiving game that made you say, wow, Baker Mayfield really beat you with his arm. He didn't have to. Because of the Bengals' inability yet again to stop the run. You see here, there were a couple of fumbles, none lost, no turnovers by the Browns, another failure by the Cincinnati defense. And then you look, 5 sacks on Joe Burrow, 3 of which were from blitzing, 2 of which from former Bengals cornerback Troy Hill. I did have the pleasure of interviewing him years ago when he came out at the NFLPA Bowl. So in a weird way, it's kind of cool seeing him play well for the Rams and then now doing things with the Browns, but not at the Bengals' expense. 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 7 total tackles. They used him to perfection, just came on late blitzes and just wreaked havoc a couple of times there. You saw Walker had the other sack, and then, of course, Myles Garrett getting in there for 1.5 and Sheldon Day for a half sack. And, that's another kind of tale of the tape there with what happened today. You go back up to the Cincinnati Bengals passing a rough day for Joe Burrow, 28 of 40, 282 yards, just over 7 yards per pass. You look at Baker, 10.4 yards per pass to Joe Burrow, 7.1. 0 touchdowns for the first time this season. First game without multiple touchdown passes for the first time this season. 2 interceptions, 5 sacks, quarterback rating of 69. Just a awful day for Joe Burrow, and got no favors from a couple of his big-time wide receivers and running backs in the passing game. I think all in all, I counted at least 5 drops, maybe even more, 2 of which were in the end zone. So got no favors. You can count Pirine. You had 2 by Chase. 1 was debatable, depending on if you wanted to call it a drop or just a smidge overthrown by Joe Burrow. You had 1 by Higgins in the end zone, and I think another one late by Higgins as well. That's the 5 I counted. There may be even more out there. So no favors on that front, but there still is a little bit of an issue with Joe Burrow forcing passes into tight windows, maybe being a little predictable with some of the passes. That out route to Jamar Chase was just thrown late and too far inside for Denzel Ward. And of course, the one, the later pick that got tipped up in the air, receiver wasn't even really open, and just blanketed coverage. Guy got his hand in there, knocked it up, and interception. Now, at the same time, Burrow's also trying to make things happen because the Bengals were in a big hole, part of which he created himself with that pick 6, part of which the defense, in their ineptitude, created for him as well. So just an all-around implosion for the Cincinnati Bengals. And it did start with their quarterback, and it started on the very first drive, unfortunately. And I don't say that often. I don't relish saying that about Joe Burrow, but there were some questionable throws, but there were some awful lack of catches, and from guys that were drafted specifically because of their ability to make contested catches, and was not so this week. Joe Mixon, 13 of 64, 13 for 64, I guess I should say, close to 5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns on the ground. One of the only things that was working today. And you can argue that some of those runs came after the Bengals were, down 14, 17, 21 points, whatever. A couple of them did. But, I mean, even in the first half, when the game was still sort of in control, he was running the football. And the offensive line, a mixed bag day. The 5 sacks, that doesn't tell the entire story of what happened on the offensive line, because some of those were free blitzers. Yeah, you got to pick some of that up. You got to recognize that. But, for the most part, for a while, Burrow was kept clean through the first half. They got some push in the run game, but overall still not an acceptable day from the offensive line. I think most would agree. Samaje Perine, 5 carries, 20 yards. Got to update some things there on that, but 5 carries, 20 yards for a 4 yard per carry average, only a 9 yard gain there, and then nothing else. Jamar Chase was being taken out of the equation in the pass game early, so they said let's get him the ball on the ground. Let's get him some rushes. 2 rushes, 0 yards from Jamar Chase. Speaking of him, a rough afternoon for the rookie wide receiver. 13 targets, only 6 catches, 2 of which went right through his hands, 1 in the end zone, 1 down the right side, not really sideline, but close to it. Very tough ball, but it hit both of his hands and went through. So tough game for Jamar Chase there. T. Higgins, your leading receiver, but he dropped one in the end zone. Another tough ball to catch, but it was placed where it needed to be based on the coverage, up and away from the defender. Higgins is known for making those contested catches, did not come down with that one. And I think there was another drop late, as I mentioned. Still was pretty reliable across the middle and doing some of the shorter stuff. But still, those two guys combined for 4 drops, and those are your top wide receivers there. That's not going to do you any good, 2 of which in the end zone. Hurts you. Mixon doing some things through the air, though, as well. 5 catches, 46 yards. Had a great 1-yard, one-handed snag in the first quarter to help that first drive move along there. So, all in all, like I said, a pretty decent day from Mixon. Sample getting in the mix, 3 catches, 36 yards, caught everything thrown his way. So had a couple of nice plays there. Uzama, 4 catches, 24 yards on 5 targets. Pirine, 2 catches, 17 yards. Had a critical drop early in the game on a 3rd down that would have been a 1st down. Bengals forced to go for it on 4th down from there, and they do not convert. So that's just one of those errors as well, where it's just one after the other, after the other, after the other, and you just can't make these mistakes, and you can't make them on your home field. You can't do that. The big question mark, what is going on with Tyler Boyd and his role in the offense? 2 targets on the day, 1 catch, 11 yards. I don't know. I know Jamar Chase is providing a lot of spark and has been a major reason for the Bengals being a competitive 5-4 on the year. But, when that starts to get shut down, or you're seeing some drop issues or what have you, you got to go to one of your more reliable targets there, and Tyler Boyd, to get sustainable drives going and keeping them going. 2 targets, 1 catch. A little shocking to me. You see here, Chase had a fumble. He lost that one. That's another issue he had. Phillips had a fumble. Burrow had a fumble. They had 4 fumbles. They only lost one of them, thankfully, but you talk about a lost fumble and 2 interceptions, one of which was a pick 6, and the other interception put the Browns in really deep Bengals territory. We can hammer the Bengals defense all we want, and rightfully so, but 7 of those points came directly from the Bengals offense. That was at least a 10-point swing, if not a 14-point swing to start the game. And then, you've got other turnovers coming up, and that tells you a lot of what happened today. Very, very quiet day from Logan Wilson. Jermaine Pratt did have 2 tackles for loss, but that goes a little unnoticed. He and Wilson were the team leaders with 6 tackles. Sam Hubbard had a pretty nice day, 4 total tackles, a sack, and 2 total tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits. So he was in there. Just there was nothing coming from the middle of the line. There was nothing coming from the linebackers. Jesse Bates, a rough afternoon, 4 total tackles. He was placed in precarious positions by Lou Anarumo, forcing the safeties kind of going, one-on-one in a lot of situations with big offensive linemen, or, kind of in open space with Nick Chubb barreling downhill. Still a rough day for Jesse Bates. Same kind of with Von Bell there. Eli Apple was the corner in coverage on the deep ball to Peoples-Jones, led up a touchdown there. Mike Hilton, he still hasn't secured a turnover this year. Ogunjobi, quiet day. Hendrickson did have a sack, but overall that was basically all he did. And a lot of others just not really giving you a whole bunch really on defense, as evidenced by the 41 points given up here. Kick returns an issue. Brandon Wilson left the game with an injury. Got to monitor that one. Darius Phillips came in, 2 returns, 39 yards, 19 and a half yards per return along. Just not getting anything out of the kick return game this year. Phillips did have 1 14-yard punt return that was decent, but overall 2 returns, 22 yards. Nothing really coming on a day that the team needed a spark. Nothing coming from special teams aside from Evan McPherson, who hit all of his kicks, 1 field goal, 1 extra point, 4 points. I guess you say whoop-de-doo, but when you're clamoring for any kind of positives, I guess that's what you got to look for, is some of the things happening there. So look, there are a lot of different takes here. I'm seeing Jeremiah Woolsey talking about problem is Zach Taylor. A lot of people are kind of echoing that sentiment. Um, so there were a number of different people to blame on this one, and it really, you can kind of say, there's always this execution or X's and O's, right? The X's and O's obviously pointing to coaches and what the schemes are, what they're putting out there, the looks they're putting out there, and putting players in position to be successful. And then, of course, it is on the players as well to go out there and execute the game plan, to do the things that the coaches are asking them to do the simple things like tackle, like not turn the ball over in the red zone, like other things that just absolutely cripple you as a football team in a divisional game at home. So, look, I worry in terms of Zach Taylor. I worry about the fact that Kevin Stefanski all week said our team is desperate for a win. We are desperate for a win. We got to win. We have to win this game. We have to win this game. And credit to the Browns, they came out and they created turnovers, they ran the football, and they took it to the Bengals on their home turf, for sure. On the other side, it may not have been as dire straits for the Bengals, being that they were just 1 week removed from the big win against Baltimore, but things were kind of getting a little dicey because of that loss to the Jets. And you would kind of feel, you would hope that the urgency was being pushed by Zach Taylor in this one to his team, that, hey, we need this one. We really need this one. Get yourself a 3-0 division record going into the bye. Beat all 3 division teams at least one time going into the bye. And just wasn't the case there. The Bengals just didn't do the little things and didn't come out motivated, it would seem. And now they've got a lot of different issues to iron out over the course of the bye week. Tying Brown, are you all right, bro? I think so. My throat got really scratchy there. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that, guys. Here are some post-game quotes relayed by some of the major figureheads by the Bengals here via Twitter. And you see Ben Baby, Bengals tight end CJ Uzama. We're pissed, obviously. We just lost, but the stress level and panic level, there is none. Okay. Mike Petraglia, I won't play the video, but I'll show you the snapshot there. We're not panicking, says Joe Burrow in a post-game press conference. Okay. It's fine if you're not panicking, but you better start righting the ship. Brian Evans, I blame Zach for you choking. Thanks. I don't know what happened there. His throat kind of closed up on me there. That was weird. Here's from Kelsey Conway. This is from Zach Taylor. You're going to see a good football team after the bye. Well, they better start getting things in order during this bye week to make sure that things are heading in the right direction. They've got tough games coming up, including 3 more against the division. They're just over 500 right now. And chances are this could be where the Bengals end up. They could very similarly finish the year at 5-4, go 10-7, what have you, or 5-5 rather. There's all kinds of different scenarios, obviously. And the Bengals have some tough games coming up, but they are winnable ones. They need to start playing like they did throughout the early part of the year. And though they had some injuries this year, and this week in particular, they've been a lot healthier this year than in years past. So, the excuses are starting to run thin. I know we're still technically in the initial stages of a rebuilding effort by the Bengals, but they raised expectations when they started winning these games and playing well against the Green Bays and doing these sort of things, they raised expectations. They raised fan expectations with that win against Baltimore. So when you come back out in back-to-back games and get shellacked by the Browns and lose to the Jets and giving up an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter, questions are going to pop up for sure. Let's look at the playoff picture before we get on out of here, and I will show you just how big of a free fall the Bengals have made here. And of course, on the left is the AFC, on the right is the NFC. You can see here the Titans they did not change 6-2. They are up top. The Ravens barely squeak one out against the team that loves playing overtime football, the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, how many freaking overtime games have the Minnesota Vikings been in this year? Good Lord. Baltimore Ravens at 6-2. They are the 2 seed. The Los Angeles Chargers are 5-3. They are the 3 seed. Moving up 4 spots there. The Bills fall to the 4th seed after losing to the Jaguars at 5-3. The Raiders lost today to the Giants. They are at 5-3 in the 5 seed. The Steelers are the 6th seed, believe it or not, by doing nothing today. They've got the Bears coming up there, 4-3. Patriots on a little bit of a streak. They are 5-4. You've got the Chiefs at 8. The Browns now leapfrogging the Bengals in the 9th seed, and there are the Bengals as the 10th seed, technically not a seed, but 10th in the conference at 5-4 with the last 2 losses, looking up at a number of different teams there. Fell 5 spots. 5 spots. On the NFC side, you've got the Cardinals up top at 8-1, the Packers at 2 at 7-2. You've got the Buccaneers at 6-2. They are the 3 seed. Cowboys at 6-2. I believe they lost today to the Broncos. They are the 4 seed. Rams at the 5 seed. Saints are currently at the 6 seed. I apologize for my coughing. That dry throat situation is catching up to me. Atlanta's the 7th seed. You've got Carolina at 4-5, Vikings at 3-5. So, I mean, really on the bubble, those teams probably aren't making it. But look at the Falcons in there at 4-4 as the 7th seed there, benefactors of the reshaped playoff brackets. Well, Cincinnati Bengals take one on the chin today, 41-16 at the hands of the Cleveland Browns. You have to know this does not sit well with the Brown family, particularly Mike Brown. Just not a awful taste in their mouth for sure in terms of what was seen today on the home turf. No all-black uniforms, no Chad Ochocinco as the ruler of the jungle. None of that could have given the Bengals enough luck to win today. They just were not playing very well, unfortunately, and now they are 5-4, looking up at the playoff bracket after being the number 1 seed for a brief period of time. They are now the 10th seed going on that. Yeah, Blackthorn right there on the chin, nose, eye, jaw. Yeah. Hopefully the Bengals take care of what they need to take care of in the bye week and come out strong against a pretty decent Raiders team. But a lot of up and down in the AFC this year. That's for sure. A lot of ups and downs and bad losses, big wins, and all kinds of different stuff. So no one seems, invincible. There are a lot of vulnerabilities with a lot of these teams, and I guess that's good news for the Bengals. We're going to get out of here, and before we do, we want to let you know that this show is brought to you by Symbol, SIMBULL.app/OBI is the website, and you can go on Symbol and go invest in teams like they are stocks or shares of stock. Symbol, SIMBULL.app/OBI. And if you use the promo code OBI, you get a special incentive. That incentive is your deposit of up to $500, where you can divvy up into different shares of teams, whether that's the Bengals or whomever else. That gets protected for 90 days. So your money is protected through Symbol, which is pretty outstanding. You don't get that guarantee with a lot of different products. So 90-day money back guarantee if you use the promo code OBI at symbol SIMBULL.app/OBI. You can go in there and invest in teams, make yourself some money, whether it's on the short term or the long term. Go for it. Have some fun, make some money for yourself, and go check out Symbol using that promo code OBI. Thanks everybody for tuning in, whether it's a little late or all kinds of different factors. I appreciate it. And of course, this was a tough one for a lot of us, but I appreciate all of you tuning in live. I appreciate those who listen after the fact. We're going to get out of here. Try and enjoy the week coming up here. I know that will be difficult, but try and do so. I will try and do the same, but we'll be back with happening headlines, our Wednesday show, fantasy football, all kinds of different stuff this coming week. So check it out on the Cincy Jungle podcast channel. Thanks everybody. Take it easy and we'll see you soon.